short tutorial video to show you how to unmold an acrylic mold. This is a Busby brand mold, and I've filmed another video which shows you how to put them together, but I realized that actually disassembling it and getting your soap out can be somewhat tricky depending on your soap recipe and a few other factors. So I wanted to show you how the best way to unmold this. So the first thing you do is just take off the straps. And you can separate the base out. It should just slide off like that. And you take off your plastic wrap that you've used just to make sure that none of your liquid soap can escape. And here's where it gets a little bit tricky. So it makes life a little bit easier if you've got any sort of spillage here, if you can actually trim that up. And I just like to use a dough cutter. And then you want to remove your end caps, and it's best just to sort of press upwards like this from the base and slide, slide, slide. This does give your arms a workout. And if you've got quite a few to unmold, you honestly might end up with sore fingers depending on how fresh your soap is. Oh, it's tight. Occasionally you might need to get your dough scraper and just trim off the underneath as well, because sometimes that suction, that is just enough to sort of keep it on. Okay. There we go, that's a bit easier. Once you've got a tiny bit of air in there, it is much easier to slide. So these end caps are easy compared to the sides. This is where it can get a little bit tricky. And it's where having a recipe that you have you've got a lot of hard butters in there, so it's a harder bar of soap, especially if you've also got a water discount, that helps. But if you've got a softer recipe, it's probably better to leave it in the mold for a couple of days. Sometimes I'll actually take off my base and take off the plastic wrap and just leave the sides on, but let some air get to the base, and that can usually help, you know, just ease these sides coming off a bit easier. So you just kind of have to play with it. Give it a few pushes, see if it's budging. Keep an eye out for any air gaps that are forming in there that might give you somewhere to hold on to. This one's, oh, it's slowly going to pull up. I'll see if I can try and get it on the video. Just about here. So I'm going to try and pull. You watch for this expanding air bubble. Oh, it takes a long time. If that doesn't work, you can try, this is my last resort, honestly. I place it on the edge of my bench, and then I push down from the top with all my might. And in theory, that should mean that your soap isn't getting damaged, but there's space for your side to come off. But honestly, oh, it can be so hard. Here we go, about halfway down. Oh, okay. That's one side. See? Then turn it around, try it off the other side. And depending on what your additives are, even what fragrance or essential oils you've used, that can soften up your soap a bit to the point where you might need to give it a bit more time before you try and unmold. Watch where your placement of your fingers are too, because you don't want to gouge the bottom of the loaf. Sometimes, if you're incredibly lucky, and you've left your soap for a long time, you can actually pull it off at the sides without having any tearing, because tearing is really the biggest problem. You don't want to be ripping it off the edges, yeah, because the tearing is a bit of an issue. But once you have got it out of the mold, you just chop it up like normal. There you go. Takes a bit of perseverance, but they're my little tips. Hopefully that will help you.